We all have an innate need for belonging, to feel connected, to feel accepted by others. We also have an immense drive to feel appreciated in our authenticity, to feel seen, to feel heard, and to feel valued for who it is that we actually are. However, oftentimes these two drives create somewhat of a paradoxical tension within us, and this is particularly prevalent in anybody who struggles with their sense of self. And usually, this is a consequence of growing up in an invalidating environment where you felt judged, where you felt criticized, and where you didn't receive the love that you needed. Now, on top of that, we have misogynistic, we have patriarchal, we have capitalist influences and conditioning telling us who it is that we need to be. And as a result, an internal conflict is created that results in so many maladaptive behaviors. And this can lead to us feeling so empty and so unsure of our place in the world, because we find ourselves showing up to the world in a way which we think will get us the approval of others. And oftentimes the things that we do on a daily basis are very much incongruent with who it is that we actually are, with what our core beliefs are, with what our core values are. And we also tend to repress our needs in order to keep other people happy. And as a result, we become very frustrated, very irritable, and this can manifest in our relationships in very negative ways, because again, it's like as if we're suffocating ourselves and blaming other people in the process. And we see so much conflict in the things that we do on a daily basis, and this is particularly prevalent in our gender roles. I know as a woman, I have seen so much of my work be having to be done on finding acceptance for myself, and yet still be drawn into the whole game of appearance, and fitting into the stereotypical role of a good mom, a good partner, and not wanting too much, always coming across as obliging. And again, it's not that you don't want to be any of these things, but we tend to abandon ourselves in the process of being who it is that we think we need to be in order to be a version of a good woman, or a version of an attractive woman, or someone who is winning at life. And as I said, there's so many societal pressures for women and for men as well that are basically misaligned with being a decent person, and with being a content person, with being someone who's at peace. I mean, there's so much emphasis on our appearance. And again, we all want to be seen at a soul level. We all want to be seen from our hearts, and yet the messaging is always there. You have to focus on what you look like in order to be deemed acceptable to the world. And we plow so much time and energy into that, into creating this appearance of ourselves that really tells the world nothing about who we are underneath, what type of character we are, and what it is that we have to offer the world, what gifts we carry around with us. And then we, as I said, when we're not being seen, we develop kind of very resentful ways of dealing with the world, but we also develop very negative coping mechanisms. We become people pleasers, but again, in becoming a people pleaser, you also end up being resentful towards the people that it is that you're pleasing, and as a consequence you become very gossipy. You can become a little bit malicious in your thinking without even realizing it. You can become resentful of others when they do well, and again, you're kind of buying into this cultural competitiveness that is again created to ensure that you keep purchasing, that ensure that you keep kind of climbing that consumer ladder of things that you need to be in order to be a successful human being. And again, as I said, it takes us further and further away from that innate aspect in ourselves, which is a loving, kind nature. And we need to be very aware of that. And I suppose it's not easy, because again, you can't just completely shun the culture that you're in. I mean, I was looking at my son the other day, and at the moment he's going through a phase where if any kind of dance comes on any of his TV programs, I know screen time, whatever, but if any kind of dancing comes on, he jumps straight off the couch, he wants you with him, and he's just doing all these moves and dancing. And I find myself thinking, God, when is he going to reach the stage where that joy is taken away from him because he's a male and it's just not considered cool to dance? It's just not what guys do unless they have like 12 pints in them. And I just want to create a little individual who is in touch with his emotions, who is basically able to manage them a little bit better than I was. I mean, I know now that I was struggling with my mental health by the age of 7 or 8, and I developed full blown anorexia by the age of 10 or 11, and it pretty much all went downhill from there for the best part of 2 decades. But when I reflect, I see all of the behaviors, all of the mechanisms that I created that were so dysfunctional and so pathological were just attempts to feel seen, to feel heard, to feel loved and to feel accepted. And you see it so much on a day-to-day basis at varying levels. I mean, we withdraw, we criticize, we self-soothe using food, we people please, we self-soothe using drugs or alcohol or online shopping or porn or whatever it is to try and escape that inherent sense of not being good enough, of being inadequate, and also not being seen for who we truly are. And I suppose it's recognizing that just in those needs in themselves is that conflict. And in order for us to move towards our authenticity, that we may need to challenge some of the things that we do in an attempt to feel accepted and in an attempt to get other people on board and to approve of us. And it's not always going to be easy, because sometimes that means stepping out of society's expectations and cultural norms and making decisions that are difficult, making decisions that are challenging and that aren't what are expected of you and that aren't necessarily what other people are going to approve of. And as I said, it's not always easy, but it's just about trying to be conscious and aware. I mean, we cannot change the world, we cannot change all of the conditioning that it is that we receive. However, we can look at our own lives and we can try and walk a path that is true for us. We can just try to make one right decision after the other. We're never going to have all of the answers, we're never going to have the solution to life, but we can decide to be true to ourselves, to see ourselves for who we actually are, and then start living in accordance with that. And I suppose in doing so, we hopefully show our children how to live their true lives, how to be the person it is that they need to be. And it's recognizing, as I said, that this is not an easy thing to do, but you will feel so much more congruent in doing so, because ultimately when you are in touch with yourself, when you are being true to yourself, you may not attract all of the people that you thought you needed in your life, but you will attract the people that you need in your life. You will find your tribe, you will find your way. I hope everyone is having a great day. If you would like to work with me on an individual basis, get in touch with me on the website. It's fundamentals.ie.